The truth about parenting teens isn't what you think, and most people aren't even aware that their current thoughts and ideas are causing a problem. But once you understand where the trouble is, you can start parenting in a much more positive way. You'll have more peace in your life, you'll strengthen your families, and you'll have more love in the home. And you'll dramatically change you and your children's lives for the better. Plus, if you watch all the way to the end, I'll throw in an extra bonus tip for you. Now let's get into it. I'm Jason Curtis, husband and father of four. This channel is all about strengthening families by helping parents do and be better. Welcome to Principal Parenting. There was a point in time when I worked for a large worldwide corporation. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to change the culture. They wanted to change their management and their leadership because they recognized that they needed to make changes in a more positive direction. So what they did is they developed a program where people, when they got hired into this program, they had to learn certain things, and they could learn them how they wanted and as fast as they wanted to learn them. So basically, the people who administer the program would just, here's what you need to do, and then they would get out of the way, but they would help you and support you as you needed. However, once we were hired into this program, we quickly realized that basically everything they said was untrue. So we still need to learn things, we just had to learn different things. And we could only learn them how they wanted us to learn them, and we could only learn them at the timeline they wanted. We could not learn them faster than they wanted, and if we learned them slower, then we were a problem. So in essence, what they wanted is they wanted a different outcome, but they still wanted to do the exact same things, okay? As you can imagine, those that were in the program quickly lost interest, and basically they were quiet quitting. And this was even before a time when quiet quitting was even a thing. But that's essentially what was happening. And eventually, since y'all lost motivation, didn't really do a whole lot, the program dissolved because they were unwilling to change even though they wanted a different outcome. Well, that situation perfectly highlights the struggles that our kids face with us as parents. And say, well, how is that the case? Well, here's the thing. During their first, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, whatever, growing up, we were teaching them and telling them, and basically we were selling the fact that they can learn and grow and become independent and function on their own. But now that they're reaching the point of where they want to do that, we aren't letting them. You see, we're constantly on their case about do this, don't do that. We want their life to look exactly how we want it to look. And if it doesn't turn out that way, we're on their case, and we're on their case, and we're constantly course correcting them to the point to where they are losing motivation and they aren't wanting to do those things. Essentially, we're treating them as a robot, and we expect them to just do and act exactly how we want them to do and act. Well, if we keep doing that, eventually that robot's going to get overheated and just crash and burn. And that's not what we want to have happen with our child or the relationship that we have with them. Ultimately, we need to change how we view parenting. So much like this program that I was in, they're trying to apply the same methods to the current situation, or past methods to the current situation. Well, as parents, we are trying to apply our past parenting methods to the current situation. But unfortunately, that's not working. You see, our child is learning and growing. Our child is now different. So it is a different situation. And if we try to apply the same things, then it's not going to work out too well. Our child has different wants and different needs, and it's important that we recognize that. Now, parenting isn't a one-size-fits-all, which means that you can't just say, I'm going to do this and it's always going to work, or I'm going to say this and it's always going to work. Because each child is different. They're going to act differently. They're going to respond differently. In fact, they're going to respond differently in different situations to the same things you say or do. And it's important, again, that we recognize that. And that's actually a good thing. We want that from our child because that means they're learning, they're growing, they're thinking independently, they're thinking and doing things on their own, which is, again, what we ultimately want to have happen. So how do we change as parents? What can we do? How do we change this? What we need to do is we need to shift from a tell to a help do. So if we're constantly on their case, just micromanaging them and telling them everything they need to do, constant course correction, that means that they aren't going to have any free will or free agency to think and do on their own. And if they don't have any free will or free agency, that means there's not going to be any learning. And if there's no learning, then there's no growth. And with no growth comes a whole host of problems. Problems that include no motivation, depression, resentment towards you and or others. And if you are noticing any of these problems right now with your child, that is a key indicator that you need to change how you view parenting and how you're parenting. So here's what you can do to start. Find out through observing and even asking them, what is it that they like? What is it that they want? How do they want to complete their tasks and responsibilities? Do they want to continue to do the sports that you are having them do? Have you been pushing them so hard that they no longer like what they used to like? Maybe something as far as a chore. How you want their room to be clean maybe isn't how they want their room to be clean. This was made clear to me a while back when I was on my child's case about cleaning the room, and then I realized his level of clean is different than my level of clean. And it wasn't a disaster. It wasn't, messy or terrible by any means. It just wasn't up to my standard. And I realized, you see, there's a problem there. There's some confusion as far as what he thinks is good and what I think is good and what is acceptable. And you know what? How he wanted his room clean, it is fine. It is completely fine. It wasn't going to lead to rats or crazy stuff like that. It just was different than me, and I needed to recognize that. Now, as you begin to let them do more things, you're going to notice there's going to be a bit more struggles. They're going to try different methods, different things. They're going to have different ideas and different thoughts, and that's totally okay. Things won't always look and turn out how you want them to, or maybe how they want them to. And again, that's totally okay. Now, I'm not suggesting that they have free run of the place, no rules, no boundaries, no anything like that. But what I am suggesting is that you give them a little bit more freedom. Now, here's a little guideline that I use in how I govern, or not govern, but parent my children and let them do some of these things. As long as it's not illegal, unethical, unsafe, immoral, or things along those lines, I'm going to let them try it, right? And I'm going to be there to love and support them. And sometimes it turns out really well and I'm pleasantly surprised. And sometimes it doesn't, but I check in with them. I show them love and support. Say, hey, how did that turn out for you? Tell me about it. What went well? What didn't? And sometimes it works out great. I'm like, wow, that is so awesome. Man, that's cool. Or I'm like, oh yeah, yes, sometimes that happens, because you've been there and you recognize, but you're not constantly course correcting them. Maybe you're asking them, so what are some things you think you can do different, or what worked in it? What didn't work with you? Maybe sometimes or next time we could try this. So you're giving them the love and support, and they have the freedom, or they feel like they have the freedom to grow and to change and to make their own decisions and make their own path and how they execute it, knowing that you're going to be there to love them and support them along the way. So what is a key thing that you can take away from this video? Well, your child changing is a good thing, but it's important that we change with them, right? So the thing that we can change is we need to change how we view our parenting and how we view our child. And we do that by changing our mindset and our point of view. You see, our child is going to change. They're going to learn and grow. And we can either get in line with that, or we can lose them forever. And we certainly don't want to lose them forever. We need to strive to learn from our child. And as we change our mindset and our point of view, that's going to lead to us changing our actions. We're going to look for different ways in how we can interact with them, how we can love them, how we can support them, how we can respond to them. All right? We are going to look for different methods of parenting. Now, that doesn't mean that we just look for different punishments. In fact, punishment should be the absolute last option after we have exhausted everything else. And if we're going through different ways of parenting and interacting with them in different situations, there are going to be very few times where we actually need to give a punishment. Now, as we change our mindset, we change these actions, we're obviously also going to change how we treat our child. How are we going to love them differently? How are we going to support them differently? Are we going to treat them like a partner or a slave? So are we going to be a partner in the sense of we are there to love and support them and help them learn and grow? Yes, we still need to be a parent, but they need to know that we are there to love and support them. Or are we going to treat them as a slave where it's constantly do this, don't do that, with constant course correction? Now, if they feel like they're a slave, they're going to feel like they have no autonomy in the matter. And I know that right now you're probably thinking, well, yeah, they can choose and do what they want. But if they don't feel like they have autonomy in this, they aren't going to act like they have autonomy. And that's going to lead to the problems. But if we can change how we view the whole situation and how we act, then we can get a different outcome as we change these mindsets and these interactions with them. Now, I want to hear your thoughts about this topic in the comments below. What's working for you? What's not working for you? What questions do you have? What are some things that you want to see in future videos? And if you want to improve as a parent, check out the links in the description for our free parent scorecard. That's going to help you know where you stand as a parent and where you can improve and what you can do differently. Now, for those of you that watch to the end, I've got a bonus tip. For at least 2 weeks straight, every day, write down a minimum of 3 things that you are thankful for. And one of them needs to at least include your kids/family. And it needs to be something different every day. So you can't write down the same thing you're thankful for every day. Now you can write down more than 3 and you can still be thankful for it, but you need to strive to think of different things every day. And I promise you, if you do that for at least 2 weeks straight, then with 100% certainty, you will view your child differently. You will view parenting differently. You will act differently. You will give more love and support, and there will be more love, support, and peace within your home. Now, if you like this video, like, subscribe, share it with someone who you feel might benefit. If you want more interactive and personal guidance, check out the links in the description. And remember, happy parenting and have a great day.